Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up to the line, oh, blocked by James! Touchdown here! With a new shot clock.
Oh, great no-look to Zizic, who puts it home.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Touchdown, Ohio State! And Curry has to back off as James throws it down.
Struck him out looking. That's his 10th strikeout of the night.
Braxton Miller is loose. Spin move! Miller headed for the end zone!
Edwin drills it. Deep left. It is gone, and the Indians win it.
Smith, alley-oop to James! Wow!
Next thing you go up initially, he's going to take a shot. Has some air under it. Has his man Kaiser. Perfectly thrown pass to Gordon. Touchdown Cleveland.
Welcome on into a brand new edition of the Real Sports Talk Show. Like always, I'm your wonderful host, Paul Jacobek, and today we are going in and dissecting your 2018 Cleveland Browns draft. Like always, my co-host, Kevin Rosser.
How you doing?
And, well, it's the NFL, so we're talking with Mr. Cleveland fans. No. Okay, he wasn't even paying attention. So, today's show, we are breaking down for sure the first round, second round, and we're going to go ahead and get into some of these later picks as we are actually currently watching the fourth round as we're doing the show today. And, well, the fourth round started off with a boom for the Browns, as before we get into the Baker Mayfield talk and the Denzel Ward talk, the Cleveland Browns kind of just found, I guess you want to say, diamond in the rough, or they found the next Johnny Manziel, but this guy doesn't play quarterback, he plays wide receiver. Rosser, go ahead and start it.
With the fifth pick in the fourth round, the Browns.
Yeah, we
true. We
traded
traded up with the Patriots to select Antonio Callaway, wide receiver out of Florida.
What'd he put up last year?
He didn't put up a single stat because he was suspended and did not play for the entire 2017 season.
We've heard this before.
We have heard this before. Character issues are something that definitely affects talent in the draft. This is a guy that's been graded from an on-field perspective to have been a first-round talent. That being said, there were a lot of red flags. Obviously, weed possession was a huge red flag going into the draft, and he actually failed his drug test at the combine, which I think would have gotten him one-way ticket to being undrafted. However, the Browns do take him. John Dorsey must have seen something in him, must have had some talks with him at some point, you would hope. And you're also bringing him into a situation similar to like when Tyrann Mathieu was drafted to the Cardinals a few years back. Had a lot of off-field issues, but obvious NFL caliber talent. Went to a situation with the Cardinals with a former LSU teammate in Patrick Peterson.
They actually lived together.
They did live together, and kind of got Tyrann back on the right track, and now he's an elite NFL defensive back. So only time will tell if Callaway can truly work out for the Browns. But in the fourth round, if you're trading a sixth-round pick to move up to get him, it's not that big of a risk, but the reward can be immense.
That is very true. The guy, if he actually played last year and he had no off the field problems, this guy would have been a first round pick guaranteed. The guy probably would have been the first wide receiver off the board. And like I said, it's a diamond in the rough if the guy does not get into trouble. But if he keeps getting into trouble and he keeps failing drug tests, we have our second Josh Gordon on our hands. But if not, you're going to have some premier talent that we just drafted in the fourth round. Mr. Cleveland fans, how do you feel?
Well, I'll say if Josh Gordon really has his head on right now, there's no better person to teach him the ways. That's as long as Josh Gordon's got his head on straight and is done with all that off-the-field crap. But It's looking pretty well for him. I mean, you haven't had any kind of reports coming out about any deals with Josh Gordon this year, so maybe he has a right. And who would be better to show him the ropes than Josh Gordon?
Now, before we go ahead and keep giving you guys bad news about the guy, he is phenomenal talent. But the big story for the Browns, of course, we were all at B-Dubs watching the game. We were all, or not the game, we were watching the draft. And we were all, kind of taking bets. Who are they going to take at 1? Who are they going to take at 1? And for a while, we heard a lot of smoke going around throughout the social media saying that it might be Josh Allen. That it might be Josh Allen. It might be this guy. It might be this guy. And then, was it 2 days before the draft, there was a little bit of news leaked about Baker Mayfield is still in the mix.
It was Dustin Fox who originally reported it.
And then, boom, Baker Mayfield at 1. I have never been this excited because this is the first time they've taken a quarterback that I wanted, and I was absolutely I was happy as hell. I thought we just won a playoff game or something, or we won a game last year. I was that happy that we drafted him. I think that anybody who makes comparisons with him and Johnny Manziel, I think you're absolutely wrong. I can see where it comes from, but I think you're absolutely wrong.
Well, the comparisons begin and end with him being a smaller white quarterback who grew up in Texas and won a Heisman Trophy and was drafted by the Browns. To me, that's where the comparisons end. Manziel was a better athlete, but Baker Mayfield's
not a better thrower.
But not a better thrower, not a better quarterback overall. And Baker definitely has a commitment to football that we're just now kind of starting to see out of Manziel. Like, he wants to take himself seriously, but I think it's too little too late to save his NFL career. Whereas Baker has his head on straight right now. He wants to get into the film room day one and make an impact. This year, it'll be hopefully sitting behind Tyrod for the entire season, barring injury or terrible performance.
Right.
But regardless, he seems like a kid who really knows what he's doing on the field and really wants to accept advice. That's a key thing coming into the league is this guy has been at the bottom. He was a walk-on 3-star recruit at Oklahoma, one of the most storied programs in college football. And he was this close to leading them to a national championship game. So he knows what it's like to start from the bottom and work his way up. And coming to an 0-16 football team, that's as bottom as you can get in the NFL.
And adding on to that, a lot of people think, that pure talent can get you places. That is very true, but as we've seen with Johnny, pure talent cannot keep you in places. And when you see a guy like Baker Mayfield, who the guy's a walk-on, he started from the bottom, the reason why he made it to where he is now, it's called dedication. The guy has always been in the film room. The guy has never missed a beat preparing for teams, preparing for the year, whatever it is. Yes, we've seen the video of him running from the police, but all it comes down to is the guy has his head on right. And when people compare him to Johnny, the thing that makes me mad is because Johnny told us himself, the Browns should have known that he was not an X's and O kind of guy. And he wasn't prepared to play the quarterback position. The quarterback position you have to be smart to play. Johnny Manziel was not smart. Johnny Manziel was not mentally prepared or physically prepared. And I understand Baker's only, they have him listed at 6 foot. If this guy was 6'3", he would have, no question, would have been the number 1 overall pick. Like, no question.
He has the accuracy. He has the pocket awareness. He can scramble a bit if he needs to.
He does leave the pocket quick. That is one thing that they do have to work with him. He does like to try and get the play, he doesn't want to sit for a little bit. He wants to go, which is fine. You can stop him from doing that. But one thing that you can't teach him compared to Johnny and stuff like that was he has an above average arm where Johnny did not have that. And this guy has a very, very solid arm with accuracy, and it's hard to come by.
Well, I've never had a knock on him game-wise. My only thing has always been the maturity issues, but he answered all the questions perfectly right about that. And somebody asked him in the press conference about trying to hone in his anger and passion, and he simply said, "Yeah, I went way over the line with that crotch grabbing." He understands that is wrong, which Johnny never did, which is the biggest difference for me.
And Johnny's still doing stuff.
Yeah, Johnny will never be right.
Johnny is still trying to make himself like this character or whatever the hell he's trying to make himself into, and he's not committed. And I heard, my brother, he said, well, when was the last time we did this? And we took Denzel Ward at 4, for those of you who haven't paid attention. And he said, well, we took a corner and a quarterback. The last time we did that was Justin Gilbert and Johnny Manziel. Both of them are not in the league. And that was, 3 years ago we drafted them?
Something like that.
That was 3 or 4 years ago.
No.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
I think that was 4 or 5.
No.
Something like that. But regardless, Denzel Ward going number 4 overall. I personally thought they were going to go Bradley Chubb, perhaps. He ended up going the next pick to the Broncos to add to that awesome front seven that they have. Von Miller is going to turn him into a hipster out there in Denver.
It's going to be crazy.
But Denzel Ward was the clear-cut best corner in this draft. A little bit undersized compared to guys like Josh Jackson.
But he plays bigger than any other corner in the draft.
Absolutely. His range when he's playing balls is phenomenal.
Don't forget, he is not just a corner. He is a lockdown man-to-man corner.
And when you're adding him to a defense that allowed the best completion percentage amongst opposing quarterbacks in the league last year, you definitely need a guy who can create opportunities for not only himself, but for other people to make plays on the ball. And that's what he can do, shutting down the number one option and forcing the quarterback to make other reads where guys might not be as open.
Well, I think the completion percentage was more or less on the coaching than it was the players. I mean, when you have your corners 10 yards off the ball, yeah, there's going to be a high completion percentage, right? But I really hope that having this lockdown corner and having 2 other really good guys in E.J. Gaines and T.J. Carey, I hope that he realizes that he could have them on the wide receivers and they won't get destroyed.
To have some security. There's the biggest thing with, I think, this pick, taking him, and, I was sitting there, we're at B-Dubs, and I was like, I really think it's Chubb. And once, there was a lot of rumors about will they trade the 4th pick. And once they kind of hit the 5-minute mark, I was like, okay, they're not trading this pick. They're going to take somebody. And I was thinking in my head that it was Chubb, but in the back of my head, I still thought that maybe it might be Ward, maybe it might be Fitzpatrick. And honestly, it was kind of funny because a lot of people had Fitzpatrick going to 4, and he dropped all the way to 11, which I didn't see that one coming.
Well, when we got Demarius Randall, I think Fitzpatrick was out of the question. I think Randall's going to fit awesome. He's going back to his natural position. Now he's even better at covering since he had to play corner. I think he's going to be amazing this year. I
got to be honest. I don't know if I'm the only one, but isn't it fun to go on social media and to see these Browns players as happy as they are? I mean, they did the first-round pick, or the 2 first-round picks, and you had Plexico Burress put out a tweet saying that the Browns are going to have the first pick next year again. And Demarius Randall over here going at it with people, telling them, bet. And all these, freaking, to Myles Garrett, to whoever it is, all these guys are very excited to be here. And I don't even think we have to tell you about Jarvis Landry, about how excited he is. This dude is so ready for this season to start. And I love seeing these videos of him and Tyrod, of all of them getting this work in together. And now you have Baker Mayfield and Denzel Ward. They were both at the Indians game last night throwing out the first pitch. There is excitement in the air in Cleveland for Cleveland Browns football, and I think it's very different compared to years past.
And you talk about excitement. It's one thing to get 2 first-round picks correct, but to go into the second round talk now and to get those 2 picks, I feel correct.
Solid.
2 very solid players. First off, you're taking Austin Corbett out of Nevada. Some people grade him as a guard. Some people grade him as a tackle. He did start all of his games last season at Nevada at left tackle. a bit smaller than you'd like to see from a left tackle, 6'3", less of a wingspan than you'd like as far as with hand-to-hand blocking. But definitely a guy that can add a lot of depth to this offensive line. And
which is something we needed.
absolutely,
We had a lot of linemen go down, and it's like, when you're starting linemen go down, that's always one of the biggest things is, well, the guys coming in, what are they going to do? Can they actually play at a high level just like the starters? And now we're getting a lot of depth. We signed, what's his name, from Pittsburgh for a huge contract, and he can play almost anywhere on the offensive
He's
line.
going to be our starting right tackle for sure.
Starting right tackle
Yeah.
over Coleman.
Yeah, and then Corbett, he's going to. There's a lot of rumors going around
That
about
he's the left tackle.
Yeah, I don't think anyone really knows right now except for probably John Dorsey, but he could play left tackle, or there's a rumor going around that Joel Bitonio will get moved to left tackle. But I don't know. I just think that you leave the veteran alone and let him stay at left guard and put the rookie at left tackle.
Are you ready for one of my favorite picks now?
Oh, you're as excited about him as I am?
So when I was at the Indians game, I was sitting there and I got the notification that we drafted this guy, and I was just, it was almost like the Baker. No, it wasn't like Baker, but I was so happy when I got the notification for this guy.
Nick Chubb, running back from Georgia, going with the 3rd pick in the 2nd round. He was a guy who got injured. It was either his freshman or sophomore year at Georgia. Went down with
Don't
a
watch the
nasty
video.
injury.
If you're squeamish, do not watch the video of his knee injury.
It's as bad, if not worse, than the Lattimore injury, that guy that came out of South Carolina. But unlike Lattimore, Nick Chubb was able to recover and come back for his college career and still put up good numbers.
Oh, he put up phenomenal numbers.
And he and Mitchell, as that two-headed machine in the backfield for Georgia, that's what got him to the national championship game. But, the durability of his knee is going to be something that the Browns will monitor throughout the season.
Which is perfectly okay since we have such depth at running back.
Carlos
now.
Hyde, Dujon. I mean, I am so happy with this pick.
It adds the depth, but it also takes it to that next level.
Where he could be your guy at running back. He really can be.
Well, in 2017, the guy ran for 1,200 yards, and he had I think 17 touchdowns, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah,
The guy, he almost ran, like we said, he had the knee injury, and the guy still almost ran for 5,000 yards at Georgia. I'm pretty sure they said is the 2nd highest in the SEC history for rushing yards for running back. The guy is solid all the way around, and I am just happy as hell that we drafted him.
Oh, yeah, his ability to run outside of the tackles may not be as strong, but inside of the tackles, I feel that he's actually a better runner between the hash marks than Saquon Barkley. As good as it would have been to get Saquon, I feel that sitting back and filling other needs and then still being able to get, in my opinion, the 2nd best running back in this draft. It's a phenomenal first 4 picks for the Browns.
I think Chubb is on that list of players that a lot of teams had a question mark next to his name, and they said, is this guy going to be able to make it at the pro level? Is his knee going to be able to hold up? Because honestly, if you really want to go watch like worst college football injuries, his injury is for sure on there. It was absolutely disgusting. But with him coming back and him putting up the yardage and everything that he did, and Georgia last year ran a split backfield, and his counterpart went first round to the Patriots.
He did, yeah.
And that just shows you. And I read a stat earlier when me and Cleveland fans were on Xbox, and I said this is the first time that a school has had 2 running backs drafted within the first 2 rounds since was it 2008, where Felix Jones and
Darren McFadden from
went
Arkansas.
Right. And I'm just excited to have this guy on the roster. He is going to be a huge energy coming in, and him with Duke Johnson and Carlos Hyde, I'm ready for this season to start right now.
And the only other pick so far was in the 3rd round, and Cleveland fans, you were excited about this pick, not just from an on-field perspective, but off the field. That defensive end out of Miami, Chad Thomas.
I actually don't know anything about this guy.
I'm
being
not
completely honest.
necessarily excited about his on the field thing, but it's pretty cool. I mean, he's a huge rap producer. I mean, the guy was on the intro for Rick Ross's newest album, and he's produced songs for Drake. So I mean, he's made it there. So, but a lot of people that's a red flag on whether he's really committed to football. But I think that shows more commitment. If you can make the money without playing football, why risk injury in football? Which just, I think, makes him love football even more.
So you're saying he's doing it more out of passion than the need to chase
just
a paycheck.
provide. Yeah. That's exactly what I think.
I think that's very true. I think if you're sitting there and you're best friends with Rick Ross almost, and you're
Rick Ross actually tweeted about him last night after the draft pick.
to be sitting there and going, okay, I can do this and just keep doing it because clearly the guy's good at it, and then goes, I'm just going to go ahead and enter the NFL draft and I'm going to go try and make it in the NFL.
Put my body on the line.
That is absolutely insane, and now that I'm learning more about the guy, I am starting to really come around to the pick. There were a couple Buckeyes that I would have drafted that were defensive linemen, but
that's also
I'll still take it.
It's also showing a bit of bias.
That's for sure
we
bias.
We always want as many Buckeyes on the team as possible.
And the thing is we never do that, and that's one of the reasons why I was so happy with Ward. And
it almost does. It feels surreal that we took a Buckeye in the first round.
It's crazy. It's crazy as hell.
Not only one, but two really good ones on our roster right now.
And one of the things is, and I understand, we can't draft every single Buckeye. We can't do this. But
we could build one hell of a team if we did, though.
We could. But I was very happy. Sam Hubbard from the Cincinnati area got drafted by the Bengals. Jerome Baker got drafted by the Miami Dolphins. Tyquan Lewis got drafted by the Indianapolis Colts. And now we just seen today Jalen Holmes went to where did he go? Oh, he just got. I actually forgot now. He got drafted today, but I forgot where he went.
Billy Price going 21 overall.
And Billy Price.
And a lot of people thought that he wasn't going to get drafted in the first round because of his pectoral injury doing the bench press
combine,
at the combine. But
his third rep.
His third rep, but it's still good to see him. He was clearly the best pure center in this draft. That's what the Bengals need is interior linemen. But moving even further outside of the Browns, but staying in the division, the Ravens trading back up into the first round and taking Lamar Jackson at 32 overall. Fellas, your thoughts?
I would just like to say that Baltimore got very, very ballsy with that pick. I'm happy for the guy. He's living the dream. He's going to the NFL. I never wish injury or anything like that upon people. I hope, the dude makes it because, it's probably for sure his childhood dream. He's trying to give his family, everything he can. And, the best of luck to him. Hopefully if he actually does succeed, don't do it against the Browns. Just play every career worst game against the Browns. But, the guy's going to be a backup to Joe Flacco for a couple of years. Joe Flacco still has many years to go there in Baltimore.
Correction, Joe Flacco is in a contract season this year.
He'll be back. I'm not worried about Joe Flacco leaving. Joe Flacco is going to retire a Baltimore Raven. But over to you, Cleveland fans. Anything?
No, I don't think Lamar's game, I just don't see being successful and translating to the NFL. But I mean, at 32, take your shot. Why not?
What do you guys think was the most surprising draft day drop, either first round or in the couple rounds last night? Who was a player that you thought was going to go way earlier than he did?
Mine was Josh Rosen, which
that did shock me.
His attitude, man, when he got drafted, I don't know if anyone's heard about his reaction, but he was honest to God disappointed.
Oh yeah,
you should just be happy. I mean, he still went 10, I think
he went 10th overall to the Cardinals. 10. But it's amazing what can change in a couple months' time because a lot of people were leaning towards him going either number 1 to us or number 2 to the Giants. I think he would have.
I think phenomenal. That the situations he's in right now is one of the best out of any of the rookie quarterbacks, to be honest.
I would, if I was a rookie quarterback going in, and you walk into the locker room and the first guy you see is Larry Fitzgerald, I don't know how you could be disappointed. I think where he went is a very good fit for him. I think everything about Arizona and him is going to mesh very good together. But I will say, and I did not really see many people talking about this, but before the draft, they showed all the quarterbacks because the biggest question was which quarterback is going one. It's official that a quarterback was going to go one. And I just kept sitting there watching these quarterbacks, and Rosen was sitting there and just had this blank look on his face the entire time they showed him. We seen multiple pictures. Lamar Jackson looked like he was sleeping. Sam Darnold, I don't even know if he really, like, he had a smile on his face a lot, but I don't think he even knew what was going on.
Nobody knew what was going on.
Like,
I don't know if anybody's watched
crazy.
the Behind the Baker episodes that Baker's been putting out, but legitimately, Baker Mayfield did not know he was getting picked till he got the call 4 minutes into the first pick. Like, it's insane. Like, him and his agents were bringing it up. They were like, well, really, 3 is the furthest that we go. That's the worst case scenario. That's exactly what his agents were telling his father. But they also mentioned, well, nobody knows what John Dorsey's doing in Cleveland. Nobody knows what Cleveland's doing. So that's a good thing, I guess. And sure enough, nobody knew. Not even Baker.
I think another player, like I already said, was Fitzpatrick. I didn't see him dropping to 11. I thought he was going to be a top 10 pick. But, I mean, 1 pick off, that's not bad either. Who did you have, Ra? Did you have anybody that was surprising to you? Other than, I know Cleveland was saying that one of the biggest ones that he thought was Ridley.
Calvin Ridley sliding was very surprising, but the fact that he wasn't the first wide receiver off the board.
Right.
I think he was the best receiver in this draft overall, but to have DJ Moore out of Maryland go 2 picks ahead of him was a shocking move. But the Panthers did need a lot of help at receiver. You never know what Greg Olson's going to give you, whether he's going to be 100% this year or not. Hayden Hurst going to the Ravens as well was surprising. Even though it's a tight end, I honestly thought he was going to go maybe 10 to 12 spots earlier to a team like the Raiders or the Dolphins even.
Dolphins do need wide receivers.
They need weapons on offense, and I thought they might have gone quarterback as well. If Rosen slips past the Cardinals at 10, I don't think he would have slid any further than 11.
Well, the Cardinals traded up to 10.
Yeah, they traded up.
That's true.
Yeah.
But going into...
Probably because they knew that Miami would have taken him.
That's true.
Right. Going into, as we've already covered a little bit with who the Ravens have taken, we get into a little bit of some interdivision people, or teams, I should say, that drafted some players. And I think one of the ones that you got to start off with is one thing that it's kind of rare to see, but the Pittsburgh Steelers drafted the combo. And I really am curious to see what happens of Rudolph going and now James Washington, big physical wide receiver, going to Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh, you can already put Rudolph as their second-string quarterback over Josh Dobbs because Josh Dobbs probably ain't going to be in the league here in a couple of years.
He is not the answer at quarterback.
For sure not. So, you see Lamar Jackson went to the Ravens. As I said, Sam Hubbard goes to the Bengals. Did anybody else in the division really strike you with big draft picks that kind of stuck out saying, okay, he might cause problems for us, or that guy is actually going to make it into the league? I haven't really seen too many players that, because most of these teams are drafting way later than us, so all the, I guess you want to say, top talent, of course, isn't there because Pittsburgh's first draft pick was 28th overall, so they're not getting top 10 talent, but either way, they already still have the talent. And one thing with them drafting James Washington is they really didn't have any big physical wide receivers. Antonio Brown can just blow by people.
Especially after trading Martavis Bryant, they needed to get another guy in there.
How
That was a big move.
That came out of nowhere. I was not prepared for that.
I mean, there was speculation that there was still some tension between Martavis Bryant and Steelers management. But I honestly thought they were going to try and work things out. They did end up trading him to Oakland for a 3rd-round pick. I think that's an appropriate value for him.
Why couldn't we do it? Would you want him?
No, I don't know. I mean, he's definitely got the size and the ball control that you want to see from a receiver who's been in the league for a couple of years.
If we didn't go out and get Landry, would you take him?
Oh yes. If we wouldn't have gotten the home run with Landry, you definitely want a guy who can come in and add.
Well, heck,
depth
we
no
only
matter what.
gave up an extra 4th-round pick to get a Landry versus
true.
Bryant. So that Landry trade was an absolute steal.
Speaking-
They actually just made the pick. The Dolphins did that we traded to him. It was I can't remember who it was, but they just made it in the 4th round.
I know, going back in a little bit here, now that you brought up that, anybody else realize that how much that Nick Chubb pick really is?
I was just about to touch on that. That was the pick.
Absolutely insane.
That was the pick that we got from the Texans in the trade that saw us taking on the contract of Brock Osweiler for a season, which cost us $17 million.
So here's my question, Paul. You went up in arms and hated that. Looking back at it now, are you happy spending $17 million to get Chubb?
I was wrong now here's the thing, what happened. We were sitting on Xbox, and I got a message saying, or actually no, it was our friend Cody goes, well, the Browns screwed their entire season. I go, oh God, what happened? And then we're sitting there, and then boom, social media explodes. We trade for freaking Brock Osweiler, and at first all it was pure initial reaction. And I thought that this was really like what they were doing. I really thought Brock Osweiler, like they were trading, they had all the confidence, blah, blah, blah. And I thought he was going to be the guy that they were going to make the quarterback. And I'm like, oh, God, no, please don't do that. And then you get into the party and you're like, all right, guys, calm down. All they did was turn this into a basketball type of move. And we're going to basically take them. We get the draft picks and we're basically going to ship them off. And, for a little bit, we really didn't think we were going to ship them off. And then right at the beginning of the season, we trade them right at the last minute to Denver, and we got rid of them. And, now everything is all said and done, and we got Nick Chubb in the whole process of everything. I absolutely love what they did with that. And going back on it, I would do it over again every single time. And when it comes down to it, all we did so far this entire draft with that pick and every single pick, we have added solid talent. Other than the Callaway pick, I do not have questions about any of these players, about their commitment to the game or to being here in Cleveland. If we would have taken Josh Rosen, if we would have taken there's a lot of players that I could list that I don't know if these guys are fully committed. Other than Callaway, I have full confidence in this whole list of players that we brought in.
Well, here's a new development I just learned on Callaway. He's been training with Antonio Brown a lot lately, and apparently Antonio Brown's taken him under the wing, according to Dustin Fox, which just came up.
Why is Dustin Fox breaking all this damn news right now?
And John Dorsey,
he has been on fire.
And John Dorsey was asked a question about him, and he said not only would he have been a first-round pick, he said he would have been the first or second wide receiver taken in general. That's the kind of talent he has. And, I mean, if you're working with Antonio Brown and Antonio Brown takes you under your wings, I'm starting to really like that pick.
It's going to be very interesting. I'm not going to sit here and start doing cartwheels about the pick until it fully starts to take shape. But does this draft, and I know a lot of people, there's a lot of people at B-Dubs, there's a lot of people all over that really did not like the way that the first two picks went, and there was a lot of questions as I was listening to Cleveland Sports Radio, and a lot of people were saying that they don't know if they even trust John Dorsey. Does this draft so far change any of your thoughts on Dorsey?
I love Dorsey. This actually makes me love him more. Because I don't know if anyone's heard what Todd Bowles had to say.
Yeah, you did bring that up, and you still haven't told me. So this is brand new to me.
Todd Bowles has gone on 2 separate radio interviews where they have asked him flat out, was Sam Darnold your number 1 choice? He has flat out said no. He's said, well, he's trying to get around it, not saying no, but he's saying, well, I'm going to keep my rankings to myself. If he was number 1, you would say number 1. That's simple. And he's done it 2 separate times now. So Baker was obviously the Jets' number 1 choice. So,
and a lot of people had those picks reversed, having us taking Darnold
Yeah.
and
then him,
Baker
yeah,
falling to the
right.
Jets.
so apparently the Jets wanted Baker over everyone. So it's not just us that wanted Baker, apparently.
Rosser, go ahead. What do you think about Dorsey and everything that's been done and everything like that?
Other than the obvious questions surrounding Callaway, you're getting 6 very solid players, like you said. 6 guys that on the field look the part. In previous drafts, there's been at least 1 or 2 guys that I have had serious on the field questions about in the last, I would say, as far back as I can remember the drafts. Guys that I really wanted being taken just a couple picks after the guy that we selected and being like, man, why didn't we take this guy? He's on the board. He fills a need. And then we go and get...
It just wasn't smart drafting.
We go and get Nick Chubb.
There's a lot of trading down. That's what it was.
Yeah.
We go and get Nick Chubb, who fills a need. We get Baker Mayfield, who fills a need. We get Denzel Ward, who fills a need. We get... why can't I remember his name, from Nevada? Corbett. He fills a need. I was the one that brought him up first. He fills a need. It's just great to see competence from the GM position, or at least perceived competence and confidence in the position.
Yeah,
going
and I love the fact that right now there are no second guessing this and second guessing that. When you trade down, that's because, and there are teams that trade down and help out other teams and they help themselves. Like Arizona traded up to get their quarterback. Now, I forgot who they traded with. They didn't trade down because they were nervous about their pick.
I believe it was Oakland that they traded with.
Okay,
Yeah,
with
I do
Oakland.
believe so, yeah.
Oakland wasn't sitting there going, oh my God, we're terrified of where we're sitting in this pick right now. No, they said, okay, you want to go up and get him? We'll go ahead and trade with you. All the years past when the Browns traded down, I really felt like they traded down because these guys were not mentally ready for these picks. They did not really know who they wanted. They had no confidence in any of the picks. And I kind of feel like they were drafting blind. And like I keep telling you guys, this is honestly, I can't remember the last time that I was sitting here and I'm watching a draft and they have picked guys that I have fully trusted. All these years, I have never been a fan of Johnny Manziel. When they drafted Johnny Manziel, I was on Xbox with all my friends. I took the headset off and threw it against the fucking wall. I was pissed when they drafted him.
I think it was a better pick, though, than the Brandon Whedon pick.
I hated the Brandon Whedon pick.
Brandon Whedon was the absolute worst
You're going to draft
a
a rookie in his mid-20s.
I hated that one. And I'm sitting here, and all I wanted, I was okay with Sam Darnold. There was a lot of times I kept saying, I don't know if I want Sam Darnold. I would have been okay with Sam Darnold. It would have been still a safe pick. And, I hope, wish the best for him in his NFL career. But I wanted Baker Mayfield because of what the guy does in the film room. And, we already seen what he can do on the field.
What he brings to the organization.
What he brings also, yeah. And I wanted Chubb at 4, Bradley Chubb, not Nick Chubb.
That was my only iffy.
But
pick.
it was 1A, 1B with me, with him and Ward. I wanted Ward. He's a hometown guy, went to Ohio State, and like I said to you earlier on Xbox, the guy, he had 7 games last year where the guy did not even allow a catch when he is guarding. I mean, wow. We have a lockdown man-to-man corner, and we have some true excitement now at quarterback. And the thing is we don't even have to really sit here and get worried about seeing Baker Mayfield because we have Tyrod Taylor. And Tyrod Taylor just came off a playoff run in freaking Buffalo.
And the questions that Baker was getting asked about how comfortable he is to sit for a year, he answered those perfectly too.
I did not hear these.
He brought up about how when he went to college, he sat a year and he thought that was the best thing that ever happened to him. And he views it the same way this year. Obviously, he wants to compete for the starting job, but ultimately, he's perfectly fine with sitting and just learning.
I think with him sitting too, that is going to drive his force to be better even more. Because, like you said, he said that sitting for a year was probably better for him. And when I really sit here and think about it, it's like, okay, if that's what it worked for him in college, and this is what made him have that driving force, then you put this guy and you make sure that Drew Stanton is your number 2. Because I want this guy I do not want to see him take a snap next year unless he has to.
I don't know. I think about halfway through the
Don't
season.
Don't force him into anything. Don't sit there and go, okay, we have 3 wins or whatever the hell it is halfway through the year. Do not force this guy into that whole list like all the other quarterbacks of just throwing him out there to the wolves.
But I think other years the quarterbacks weren't nearly as ready as Baker seems to be. Which, yeah, I don't want him playing this year, but if Tyrod, say, goes down week 9, week 10, I think that Baker would be good to step in at that point. Because I think if it was Darnold and Josh Allen, yes, you put Drew Stanton out there, no questions asked. Which apparently the Jets might actually be starting Darnold week 1 this year.
Oh, God.
It's going to be interesting.
That's crazy.
I
They
don't
do
know
have 5
about
quarterbacks
Josh.
on the roster.
Oh, yeah, teams are trying to trade for Bryce Petty right now.
That's bad.
But
Now, go ahead, Ross. Go ahead.
A lot of great value guys are still available in this last day of the draft. For round 4 is almost up, so we have 5, 6, and 7 left. There's only one guy, and it seems to happen every year. There's always 1 or 2 guys that are graded as being day 3 picks who will still grab headlines. And there's only one guy left, and that's Shaquem Griffin. The guy, yes, he has one hand. That's something that cannot be overlooked when you're grading a player. That's obviously why his stock is where it is, and it's appropriate. But the motor on this guy and his ability to take the correct angle to get to the ball carrier is something that I don't think is matched or at least topped by much. His pursuit angles are phenomenal.
I think if he gets picked, and whenever he gets picked now, he has a chance to be the steal of the draft without a doubt. Along with Callaway for the Browns. I really love that pick now. I really do.
It's starting to wear on me. That's for sure. I'm starting to really come around to that pick. And now one thing, if anybody out there who still has not followed Cleveland_fans, he put out a hell of a tweet and I woke up this morning, I was scrolling through Twitter and it just popped up. You said a tweet last night and it really struck me as no matter how bad this next year could be, and, a lot of people were saying, why didn't we get Bradley Chubb? Next year, there's a guy coming into the draft, and his name is Nick Bosa. And him in a Browns uniform, honestly, guys, I don't know. I would probably go out and buy season tickets front row at the 50-yard line as soon as we drafted him. I would kill to have Nick Bosa. Now, I don't want to look in and say, well, guy, let's tank the year. No,
but you could always trade up.
Right, you can always trade up, and I think that, looking just a little bit ahead, it's always bad to do that, but just to look a little bit ahead, I think that with who we have already signed, then you add in who we just drafted, and then the possibility of still having some very good picks next year. I don't know, this team, if this fully gels together, I don't even want to know what this is going to turn into.
I'm going to go on record and guess 7 wins this year. No, I'll make it 6.
6
Not
wins.
7.
Six is what I was saying, and I was going to ask you guys if you thought, based on the way that the Browns have drafted, if you thought that their projected wins were up or even down, God forbid. I don't know why you would say they'd be down. Or if they stay the same, and I still have him at about 5 or 6. It is going to take a full season for everyone to gel together.
There's going to be a lot of growing pains.
It's gonna be a huge step forward. There's going to be a lot of close games, and whether we win or lose,
we lost a lot of close games last year,
and it sets apart bad teams and good teams. How you handle the fourth quarter, how you handle a lead or a deficit in those close games, clock management, all that kinds of stuff.
Very true.
But I really feel that this is the make or break year for Hugh Jackson, though. He has to show some kind of improvement with the way that Dorsey has
built this team.
Has truly upgraded almost, if not every single position on the field through free agency and the draft. On the field and off the field with guys that want to be here, that are hungry, that want to bring a winner to Cleveland. If Hugh Jackson cannot get 5 to 6 wins out of this team,
he's gone.
Then it's gone, and God forbid we have to start all over again with.
Oh, we won't. But John Dorsey, I don't think he has an attachment to Hugh Jackson, which is the only reason why he's up in question. But now with us getting Todd Haley, I don't see Hugh having like a bad year per se. Really, I mean, in game, all that he has to control now is clock management, basically. Which he had a lot of terrible choices with that last year. So I can't see him possibly having a bad year. So
now I don't want to speak for myself here or speak for you guys, but I really feel like I have never, honestly, I can't remember the last time I have been this excited for Cleveland Browns football. I wish training camp opened tomorrow and we could just hurry up and get our asses in Berea and start seeing what these guys can do. I think there is some true talent in every single position on this roster.
We don't have a single weak spot anymore.
No. There, and you know, we went from a team where every year we could sit here and laugh and go, yeah, you know, we have this guy or that guy. Right now, honestly, you laugh because of the talent we have. Like, when was the last time we sat here and really said, wow, we have talent at every single position, and we have depth at every single position.
And the excitement is genuine, like, hopefulness instead of just, oh, we have to be excited because it's the Browns and we just have to be optimistic in the face of, for lack of a better term, dog shit.
When I really think about it, it comes down to the fact that right now, for the first time in many years, I don't have to sit here and we're already planning for next year's draft. We actually have a season to look forward to. And guys, there's going to be growing pains. There's going to be many guys out there who, for the first couple of weeks...
we won't have growing pains at quarterback, which is going to help a lot.
No, we won't. We're going to have an actual guy who's solidified himself as a veteran.
This is the best quarterback we've had since that 1 year of Derek Anderson.
2007, Derek Anderson, Hall of Famer.
Derek Anderson that 1 year was fantastic.
That was him and Braylon Edwards.
Yeah, Braylon.
Braylon Edwards was phenomenal.
Yep.
But anything before we go ahead and wrap this up, guys? Rosser, you have the floor.
Again, just overall excitement, like we've been talking about the last couple minutes. I really wish the best for Baker Mayfield and Denzel Ward and all the other guys that we've taken, and the couple guys that we will take in these last rounds as the draft closes out.
Cleveland fans?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
That's it? It's just I love it?
Yeah.
Is there much more needed? Really?
Yeah, we've already talked about everything.
That is very true.
The only thing I said was I was iffy on Denzel Ward, but it was 1A, 1B with me.
I would have loved Chubb. Yeah. I love the pick. In Chubb, I wish the best for you, bud, but you don't fit the hometown hero like Ward will if, Ward fully succeeds.
And obviously
like he's supposed
Dorsey
to.
viewed in corner as a bigger need than defensive end.
Now, before we go, there was a thing that I forgot to hit on, and we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up after this. But they did say that there was a lot of there was a little bit of confusion, I guess. Not even confusion, I shouldn't even say that. But the Browns actually had Chubb listed as 4. They were going to take Chubb at 4, and then they said the day of the draft, Dorsey said we're going with Ward. And we've heard in the past, this is my guy, but that was from Hugh Jackson talking about Cody Kessler. It sounds like right now Denzel Ward was his guy. If you flip on the day of the draft the number 4 pick with one other, I mean, come on. So I'm very happy.
There was no wrong pick there, though. So
that I do agree with. That is very true. I do agree with that.
And this was a draft overall that didn't have a single guy that was for sure going to go number 1, but it's a very...
Seems like a lot of teams had Baker at 1 now, though.
It's a very deep draft where there's no clear-cut number 1 like a Cam Newton or a Sam
Andrew
Bradford
Luck.
or an Andrew Luck. But you have a lot of guys at a few different positions that you could say, okay, based on a need or based on scheme fit, they could have easily gone number 1.
Yeah.
And those are the drafts that are the most exciting, in my opinion, because there's unpredictability. More trades will happen for teams that want to reach up and fill a need, a spot ahead of a team that also needs to fill that need. And it was a very exciting first round, for sure.
And that is going to go ahead and wrap up the draft review show with Kevin Rosser and Cleveland fans. Anybody who is still listening in round 5 is just about to get underway here in a little bit. Browns don't really have any they still have 2 or 3 picks left on the day unless they do make any more trades. But we will go ahead
They
and
did give up 1 to move up to take Callaway, though.
Okay, so then I think they still have maybe 2 or 3 left.
They have 3 picks by my count.
3, okay. But we will go ahead and we'll release any of the guys that they do pick later on. But like always, go ahead and check out any of our previous shows on either iTunes or YouTube. Go ahead and keep following us on the Twitter app and Instagram. And I guess one way to end the show is just keep the excitement up for the 2018-2019 season for the Cleveland Browns, because this is going to be a fun year. And I think it's been a while that we can fully say that it's going to be a fun year. Any last thoughts, Rosser?
Foy's going to kill us for going so long.
Yeah,
it's
it's
our
going to take a
one
while.
by far.
It's going to take a while to upload this one. This one's actually at about 50 minutes right now. Cleveland fans, want to say bye?
Yep. I mean, just go Browns.
Go Browns.
Oh.
Yep. All right, everybody. Everyone have a great one. We'll see you next time on the Real Sports Talk Show.
It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again.
Ball in.